Jessica Meir will be carrying basically a tool bag out of the airlock with her, and once she's out, they can get started on the work for today, which is swap out of a battery charge discharge unit that we had a problem with following a spacewalk last Friday.
Christina, I'm going to do a little translation adaptation here. Okay, copy. We'll wait for the handover to end, and Stephanie will be back with us for next step. Or maybe I'll go ahead and get this on my DOT first.
And Houston is back with you, and we're copying, and that's your call. If you'd like to place the medium ORU bag first or conduct the translation adaptation, it is up to you.
Okay, copy.
Translation adaptation is kind of a big fancy way to say getting used to moving around in space.
Yes, a very fancy way. Yeah, there's this experience they have in vacuum of space. Maneuvering in the suit is not easily mocked up here on Earth, and so this is the first time they'll experience that frictionless motion in their suit, but they're massive, and so they need to put in some effort to stop themselves. And so this is a period of time for them to understand what forces they're going to need to do the maneuvering as well as the stopping.
And that's not something that you really can practice on the ground, right?
Not at all. No, we have some facilities that are like an air hockey table. It's a precision air bearing floor that we used to use to replicate that. But nowadays we have a bungee system and a facility that suspends us, and then we're able to more effortlessly move things and react to the momentum and the mass of a unit. In addition to stopping ourselves. So we do have some ways of practicing it here.
I can see your tether if you are in a good config. Happy, thank you. And at this point, Stephanie, I will do a little translation adaptation.
Copy, Jessica. We copy the buddy checks on EV1. And would you both please give us a baseline HAP check?
For EV1, my HAP is dry. EV2, HAP is dry.
Copy, dry HAP.
Get the thermal cover while we...
Copy, dry HAPs and thermal cover and work.
So HAP checks are something that we're going to be hearing kind of on and off throughout the spacewalk. That's a periodic check that they do to make sure that there's not a lot of water in their helmet.
Or no water at all, we hope. But yeah, this is something new since the one spacewalk we had with Luca, who was inside. He's going to do the arm work for them, where we had water in the helmet. And though we don't expect to have that issue again, the HAP is a means to protect the crew if we were to experience water in the helmet.
They'll keep doing that. HAP, I think, stands for helmet absorption pad.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll also do glove checks, looking for any cuts on their gloves. So we'll be hearing that throughout today.
And Christina, how does this bag look? I have it out so I can see it. Yep, it is out. I can see that it's in your vision. You definitely have some space to put it back a little bit if you wanted to do it that way, but I can keep an eye on it as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if we actually hear a comment, but I can bet the two are thinking, or at least Jessica, this being her first time out, just how similar the environment she's in looks to the environment that we train in. There's so many similarities, with the exception of that big, plump blue planet.
Yeah, and I think every handrail has another number. They know exactly where they're going ahead of time and which path they'll take.
Exactly, yeah. Stephanie will be calling out specific handrail numbers, but they've done enough preparation that they know the general direction they're going. And knowing the numbers confirmed by Stephanie just give them confidence that they're going in the right direction, especially when the sun goes down. They have helmet lights, and there's some lights, on the external lights on the station that help illuminate their path. But boy, when that sun goes down, it's a much different view. So having handrail numbers called out can sometimes keep you in the straight line path you're intending.
And it looks like we will be heading into a dark portion of this orbit in the next minute, or next few minutes. And so we'll get a good first look at what that's like soon. And you mentioned that your own spacewalk, that your first one wasn't a planned one. So it's how do you get ready for that when you can't train on the ground for it ahead of time?
Well, we have, first of all, a fantastic team on the ground, so dedicated to providing as much information as we can, and then it's a matter of getting the time to absorb it, and then prioritizing for yourself what you're going to need. We have virtual reality that we can use on orbit to immerse ourselves in the environment and get familiar with it. But it's just knowing the primary goals of your task and relying a lot on your training to kick in once you're outside, and then of course the ground guiding you.
Okay, Stephanie, I think with that I'm ready to start translating.
Copy, Jessica. For Christina, translate to the APFR in the starboard CETA card, and you'll begin your SSRMS setup. And for Jessica, translate to P4. You'll temp stow the medium ORU bag on the handrail there.
Copy. And I think ED2, I will lead this translation.
And for this one, Christina leads the translation.
Okay, did we got a change? And my tether is the one that is air-led on handrail 500, so we were showing that Jessica would lead, but we'll take your words on that.
Christina, Jessica, we copy. We would like Christina to lead.
Copy. And Jessica, are you in a good position? Yeah, stand by. I'll get out of your way. Copy.
So they finished that first initial work they have to do, getting used to being in space and getting their tethers set up, and now they're getting on their way, moving to their work sites for the first task.
Yeah, there's so much work that they've done up to this point. It seems almost unfair to say they're getting started. But yeah, their first task is about to begin.
Okay, copy that.
Christina will be moving to get in place for her ride on the Canadarm2.
I believe this is the first time she's been on the arm in her this is being her fourth spacewalk. I think this is her first arm ride.
I mean, if you're going to do a spacewalk, it sounds like that is even better to do it.
Have somebody else translate you, of course. She's earned it.
And we're getting our first look here from the helmet cameras of the spacewalkers. This one's from Jessica Meir, and you'll be able to tell that it's her view during the spacewalk by the number 11 embossed in the lower right-hand corner of the screen.
Okay, and I'm showing you passing your tether without any interference there. Okay, copy. Let me know when you're clear for me to start. And I am clear for you to start. I'm about halfway up the Seabus square now.
And Christina, Jessica, we copy. And just some additional words on this. Christina, you will end up waiting for Jessica to pass once you're at P4 working the SSRMS setup. And also, Jessica, you can expect you have to cross over Christina's safety tether at the CETA cart.
Okay, copy, Stephanie. And DV1 copies as well. And DV1 is on phase 1, translating port.
Copy, Christina.
DV2 also on phase 1, right behind her.
Copy.
This again is a view from Jessica Mears' helmet camera. She is making her way to begin setting up the work site at the P6 truss segment. That's the far end of the port truss on the space station. One of the furthest work sites that we send spacewalkers to.
With 5.
Once she's there, she'll be picking up some handles that were pre-installed on the nickel hydrogen batteries that were going to be replaced in what would have been a spacewalk on Wednesday. This one preempted it when we had a problem with a battery charge discharge unit following the second spacewalk in the series, which took place last Friday.
And Jessica, I am Venus on the starboard CETA cart, so when you do go by, no clearance. Okay, I'm coming up to the CETA cart now. And Jessica, width 5 is the width that is in the middle of the CETA cart on the port side. Okay, copy that. Good to know. I'm right beneath your feet, so don't move down. Copy.
A little bit of a view there of Christina Cook from Jessica Mears' helmet as they crossed paths. Mear on her way out to the P6 truss while Cook is getting ready to begin setting up the robotic arm so that she can use it to carry the large battery charge discharge unit that the spare that they'll be bringing over to P6.
See, we are not past our tether points. Okay, correct? Yep, they are beneath, but they are nadir of the starboard CETA cart. Copy.
So right now Jessica is translating under the MT, the mobile transporter that holds the mobile base system that often secures the robotic arm. And in the pool, that is a dreaded place to have to translate. It's because of gravity. It makes it very difficult to be under this structure. And so, though Jessica hasn't made any comments, I think it would be very consistent with every other spacewalker's experience that it is a joy to be underneath that in space. And so she's probably thinking, this is way better than the pool.
Neutral buoyancy laboratory.
Yes.
We should probably explain what the pool is, the neutral buoyancy laboratory that you practice in.
Yes, we fondly call it the pool, but it's a gigantic training facility that holds the mock-up of the space station, and that's just how we practice spacewalking. And though we can become buoyant, neutrally buoyant in the pool, we can't take away gravity. And so
P4 handrail 5104 for SSRMS setup. And check your gauntlets in place prior to crossing the surge.
Copy 5104 on P4, and I'll check my gauntlets.
Good, read back.
Stephanie, I've reached handrail 5120, which I believe is where I'm leaving the medium ORU bag.
And that is a good location to attempt to stow the medium ORU bag. Also, check your gauntlets in place.
Okay, copy. My gauntlets are in place.
Copy.
in Jessica's helmet cam, you can see the glow of the horizon on Earth, and as magnificent as that is to see, it will probably not be enough to distract Jessica right now from the task she has at hand. That's how much you concentrate while you're out there. It's such a unique environment that it takes as much mental strength as it does physical strength. And
yes, we talk a lot about how physically hard it is, but it's also, you just come back completely exhausted, I would assume.
yes, you think as hard as you can out there.
Copy, Christina.
And I see you.
Moving out of range of video downlink from the satellites for a moment or two.
Okay, and I am to Jessica. I'll stand by. Not, Christina, I have the bag stowed, but I have not taken out the GoPro yet. Do you want to kick the GoPro out? Or do you want me to? If you're in a good spot, go ahead, and if not, I'll be glad to do it. And do you remember that on the right or the left side of the bag? It's on the same side as the red. You know what? I can do it since I set it up. Okay, that'll work. Good call. Okay, Stephanie, then with that, I should keep progressing outboard.
That's affirmed, Jessica. You can translate to the P6 long spacer, handrail 5312, to attach your green hook, and I have one warning and one caution if it's a good time.
Oh, sure, I'm ready for that.
The warning is for sharp edges on P6. There's a P6 sharp edge hazard, MT rail attach lug near the 2 Bravo IAA inboard radiator corner. And the one caution on P6, avoid contact with deployed and stowed radiators.
Okay, copy that.
Jessica, Christina, for your information, arm is in motion.
Copy.
Still seeing this view from Jessica Mears' helmet camera. She's again making her way to actually what would have been the work site to install the next set of new batteries if we'd been going through the regularly planned spacewalk. Instead, she'll be picking up some of the equipment there because she and Christina Cook will need it as they're moving the battery discharge unit around.
And Stephanie, V1, I'll copy.
Christina, I copy you now. We're in a period of RADI-COM for another 6 minutes.
The challenge coming up for this entire team is once Christina has the arm set up and is ready for motion, she'll be talking with Luca inside, who's maneuvering the arm, and then Jessica's still going to need to be kept busy and listening for Stephanie. And so it'll be interesting for folks to listen up at how well they coordinate that communication from inside the space station to outside the space station to here inside Mission Control. It'll be kind of neat to watch.
Another example of how much there is to keep track of.
Absolutely. No shortage.
Please repeat your last.
Yes, my last was just updating you on my location, 5104 and 5103 handrail, and wanted to check in with you on this location for setup of the SSRMS. I believe this is where we're looking to be.
And you are correct.
And Stephanie, for EV2, I'm at 5312 working on my green hook.
Copy, Jessica. And Christina, if you are ready to work with Luca for the GCA for APFR install, I can hand you over to him.
Okay, stand by one. I'll let to keep you for a minute longer while I reposition for this.
Copy that. Copy.
The APFR that you hear him talking about is the articulated portable foot restraint that Christina Cook will be using as she rides the robotic arm to the next work site. That'll allow her to have her hands free to hold the equipment.
The outboard route.
The APFR is one of those pieces of equipment that we use commonly in any spacewalk, but it's also one of the more massive things that we manipulate during a task. We do everything from retrieving it to installing it to ingressing our own feet into it, and it's one of those things that a lot of training is spent mastering that. And so it's a rewarding experience when you actually get to go into space and use one, because it's been reported to be a lot easier in space than it is in training. So I bet it's a joy for them right now.
That's good to hear. I think Jessica Meir will be using one several times later in the spacewalk if there's time, as a get-ahead to check out some worksite interfaces.
I will rely on you for clearance because my views currently are do not consent me to really see the position.
Okay. And your current location, is this considered the published APFR install location?
That is correct. This is the published APFR install position.
Okay, copy that. I'm going to class, we'll go with 10 centimeters toward the IEA, and I'm showing that's zenith.
Okay, I understand the 10 centimeter station zenith.
Good, read that.
That does seem like a hard part of the coordination, the minute maneuvers with the robotic arm to get it just in the right place.
Oh, it is, and the words spoken between the EV crew member and the arm operator are really important. What we try to do is to minimize the iterations that we go through in terms of saying what we want and getting the arm in the right position. And so it's that's what is the goal for these translations, as well as the communication between the crew.
We are 40 seconds from a 20-second handover, and 1 minute to sunrise.
See that? We'll go for an APFR install. That's in work.
Copy.
And I would also add that the coordination between the EV crew and the arm operators is aided by the fact that we all cross-train. And so Luca has been a spacewalker, and Christina's been an arm operator, and so they know how to speak the same language and know what each other needs, and that aids in making sure they get the positions that they want without spending a lot of time getting there.
That makes sense, and I'm sure you've driven the robotic arm as well. Is that
yes, we're
difficult?
It's complex because we have this sophisticated robotic arm that has 7 degrees of freedom, and the space station is enormous and complex, and we have camera views that are not very straightforward. So you spend a lot of time, you spend a lot of brain power interpreting the views that you see, and cross-checking with other views to make sure that there's no obstructions. You're not going to make contact with structure, and so it is difficult. And then plus you've got a live person on the end of the arm, and that adds a level of that turns it up a notch for the arm operator. For
Definitely
sure.
Don't want to run them into anything.
Absolutely not. That's your buddy.
Moved through a period where we're not getting downlink again, but it's coming back now, and I think we should be out of that period where we're dropping in and out now.
Christina, Jessica, back with you after the handover. Jessica, we see you have the crew lock bag in sight, and you'll retrieve the 4 scoops to place those on 3 batteries and a DCSU on the IEA.
That's in work.
And those scoops are the handles that we were talking about, getting them off the nickel hydrogen batteries that were set to be replaced so that they can be used to move the new and old battery charge discharge units around. Jessica Meir will be taking them over to Christina Cook to get them installed and installing some of her own as well. And Tracy, thanks so much for spending time with us today. I know that you have your own work that you need to be getting to. So any parting thoughts, advice before you head out?
I just think everyone ought to be sending some positive vibes by way of airwaves to space for these two top-notch spacewalkers. I think it's going to be a long day, and so they'll be focusing as much with their mind as with their hands, and so I think we can expect their calm to probably get a little bit less and less as the day goes on, as their brain is focused on the task.
Installed from the SSRMS Swift, talking of 12, this pull and twist test, and I have black on black.
But I think the thing to really pay attention to is the unspoken coordination between the whole crew, especially the two that are outside. They're good friends outside of the work that they're doing, and I think it is especially meaningful to be doing something as unique and fascinating as a spacewalk, especially with someone that you know really cares about you, and that's the case with those two, Christina and Jessica. So watch for that communication that is outside the normal, and I think you'll get a sense for the camaraderie that you have outside the space station today.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. We're 43 minutes into what is planned to be a 5.5-hour spacewalk, so we should have a lot of fun left to go.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Brandy. It's been a pleasure.
I have Papa Papa Fox 6 set.
Copy, Christina. Those are good settings. You can perform a safety tether swap onto the SSRMS. First lock your green hook, and then relocate your yellow hook to the SSRMS Lee forward tether point.
Copy that.
As you can see, the spacewalkers and the International Space Station have moved into the daylight portion of this orbit around the Earth, currently over the Pacific Ocean, heading towards the coast of South America, or Central America rather. And this a view of Christina Cook in her spacesuit with the red stripe to differentiate her from Jessica Meir with an all-white spacesuit. And it looks like this view is coming from the space station's robotic arm, which is just within reach of Cook, so that she can get that foot restraint installed on the end of it, which she will then climb into and use to move from here to the P4 work site. Then she'll have a little ways to carry the battery charge discharge unit to get it out to the P6 solar array.
Now.
Jessica, say again your last.
And Stephanie, this gap spanner is really loose. I think I'm going to try to tighten it up a bit.
Jessica, we copy.
And for EV1, my green hook is locked.
Copy.
And confirm I am taking my yellow hook, the forward SSRMS handrail.
That's affirmative. Relocate yellow hook to SSRMS Lee forward tether point.
Copy. Stephanie, tightens that gap spinner up quite a bit on the outboard side. I think it'll be a little bit more useful that way.
Jessica, we copy. As you're tightening or once you're complete with that, can you also give us the 180-degree turn test of the turn of the buckle so that there's 1 inch of slack?
Yes, there still is over an inch of slack.
We copy that. Thank you.
Getting our first view here from Christina Cook's helmet camera, which you will be able to tell is coming from her by the number 18 embossed in the lower right-hand corner throughout the day. And although it's a little shaky, this is a view of that foot restraint that she'll be installing there on the end of the robotic arm. She has installed, rather.
My green wheel is locked.
Copy, green wheel locked. Stow your green hook on P4 handrail 5104.
Copy, and work.
As we promised, we're going to be taking Ask NASA questions from social media throughout today's spacewalk, and we'll take advantage of a few minutes of quiet to answer a few here. First up, we have a question from Amanda asking, what's the most challenging task for Cook and Mir during their spacewalk today? Just the spacewalk itself is, as we talked about with Tracy Caldwell Dyson, really physically and mentally demanding. But as far as specific tasks, nothing that they are doing is in itself hard. But the pieces of equipment they'll be moving around are bulky, and moving around with them attached to their tethers or in their handholds or can be challenging. The main task for the spacewalk is to change out an old battery charge discharge unit that we've had a problem with for a new one that has been stored as a spare on the space station. So that'll take about 3.5 hours to get that done, and then they'll wrap up with a few get-aheads if there is time.
Green wheel unlocked. Copy, unlocked.
Christina Cook moving through the steps to get her foot restraint set up on the robotic arm. And we also have a question from Renee.
I believe that the APSR ingress location is moved from here, so stand by 1.
Renee is asking what happens during the swap of the failed power unit. Will electricity black out for the time of the repair? And no, the space station actually has a total of 24 of these battery charged discharge units that are taking in and putting out power from the station's 4 solar arrays. So they do have plenty of power. We just do want to have the full amount of power that we can get. So we want to get this swapped out.
Copy and standby 1. I need to verify my ECFR settings.
Copy.
And Stephanie, I've got all 4 scoops in the bag, so I believe my next step is to head over to the APFR, bundle the bag, and then bring the APFR to 2 Bravo.
That's affirmative, Jessica, and you'll also change the pitch to Papa Papa.
Copy, Papa Papa.
Good readback.
View here from Jessica Mears' helmet camera. She's working through the steps of this work site setup with Stephanie Wilson here on the ground. She's first been retrieving some handles that will be used during today's spacewalk, moving them off of the batteries that were going to be replaced, and they'll be used on both the old battery charge discharge unit and the new one to move those around. She's also picking up a foot restraint that she'll be installing back at P6, the segment of the truss that they'll be spending the most time working at today.
Christina, we copy? And yes, please work with Luca.
Okay, Luca, I am ready when you are.
Okay, Christina, I'm going to GCA to the published APFR ingress position and then take ulterior motions from you if necessary. And it's going to be a motion towards the X station forward, about 1 meter.
Copy that and concur.
Starting motion.
Copy.
Hearing Luca Parmitano's voice added to the mix as he is driving the space station's robotic arm. We're getting this view from a camera on the robotic arm, so you see it moving away from Christina Cook there. Cook is at what we call the CETA cart. That stands for Crew Equipment and Translation Aid Cart.
Copy. And Lisa, that looks like a good position. I'll give it a go for the ingress. GCA complete.
Copy, GCA complete. Brakes are on.
Copy.
Go for APFR ingress.
Copy. Brakes on. Go for ingress.
Once Cook is in this foot restraint on the robotic arm, it will move her to the location of that spare, the new battery charge discharge unit, where she'll be picking it up. View of another foot restraint that Jessica Mears is picking up. This was, again, going to be used in the battery swap task that had been planned for the next spacewalk, but they'll need it today, so she's going to pick it up now and move it to the P6 work site. Or this is also on P6, but a different P6 work site, so that she and Christina Cook can use it today. Seeing a lot of Ask NASA questions come in, so we'll try and answer a few while we have a quiet moment. This one from Noni, who is first of all saying good luck to the spacewalkers and then asking how heavy are the spacesuits and do they impact the astronauts? On the ground, these spacesuits would weigh about 300 pounds, so they are definitely heavy, not easy to use in gravity. A little easier, of course, in microgravity where they're able to float, but still pretty bulky and hard to maneuver in. It takes a lot to protect the astronauts from the vacuum of space, and this is basically their own personal spaceship, so it has everything they need to survive outside of the space station. So they have to be careful and be really trained in how to move around in the spacesuits. They also, well, as we talked about before they left the airlock, add padding inside the spacesuit to make sure they kind of stay positioned in it as is most comfortable and most helpful, so that, for instance, their hands aren't slipping out of the gloves when they bend their elbow, or they're not moving around inside their boots when they're getting into the foot restraints, as Christina Cook is here. Mr. Wilson's science class from Jones Middle School in Florence, Kentucky, have a question as they are watching the spacewalk, and they are wanting to know how the astronauts train for the spacewalks.
Copy. You've ingress and ingress aid is stowed. Nice work. Retrieve the medium ORU bag. That is temp stowed on handrail 5120, and place it on your BRT.
Thanks, copy.
Christina Cook, they're reporting that she is in that foot restraint now. So she'll be getting her.
GCA for that retrieval when you're ready.
You can give me a second to set it up, and I'll go for your GCA.
Getting back to Mr. Wilson's science class question, the astronauts have a number of different ways that they train here on the ground. One of the main ones is inside the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory, which is an enormous 40-foot deep swimming pool.
Copy. 20 centimeters towards your feet, station forward.
We have an enormous full-size mock-up of the space station inside the pool, so they're able to move around on it just as they do in space. But underwater isn't a perfect comparison, so we also do virtual reality training with the spacewalkers, and we have a system that puts them in a harness and uses pulleys to make it feel like they are in zero gravity, so that they can see how the tools work and how they're moving around in microgravity will feel a little better than they do in the swimming pool.
There's your 20 centimeters.
Okay, I will take an additional 20, please.
Okay, another 20. Same direction.
Yes, sir.
Steady motion.
Copy.
And there's your additional 20.
Copy. This will be good. We can call that GCA complete.
GCA complete. Let's coming on.
Copy. Okay, can you confirm brakes are on?
Brakes are on, sorry.
Copy. And that was GCA complete, right? Affirm. Okay, Stephanie, I have the HFR and Papa, and I'm going to get this on my BRT and bring this over to 2 Bravo And we have 38, correct?
Jessica, that is all correct.
Okay, copy, in work. EDMORU bag is installed on my BRT.
Copy, Christina. When you are happy and ready for motion, you can ask Luca or give Luca a go to maneuver to the ELC1 BCDU worksite.
Copy. Luca, I am ready for motion to the BCDU worksite on ELC1.
Christina, copy. There will be first back-off maneuver away from structure, and then it will be joint TOCAS.
Copy.
Cook there confirming that she's got everything she needs in place to begin moving on board that robotic arm that Luca Parmitano is driving.
I noticed that Jessica Safety Tether is currently behind my helmet. Deconflict that.
The brakes are on.
Copy, brakes are on.
You can see in this view from Jessica Mears' helmet camera a good view of the mirrors that the astronauts wear on their wrist. And we actually have a question from 7th grade class in West Orange, New Jersey about why they wear those. That is a way that the crew can see the controls on their spacesuit, which are on the chest of the spacesuit. With the helmets and the bulky spacesuits themselves, they're not able to bend their necks and look down, so they use those mirrors to see the controls in them and adjust them as needed. They can do things like adjust the water in the undergarments that they wear to keep them at a comfortable temperature as they move through the day and night cycles on the International Space Station. And to help with that, those controls are actually printed backwards so that they show up correctly in the mirror. Still seeing Christina Cook there on the end of the robotic arm. It is going to be moving her to the external logistics carrier number 1. That's where the spare battery charge discharge unit is waiting for her to pick up and then carry over to first the P4 work site, or a work site on P4 truss. She'll get out of the off of the robotic arm there and with the help of Jessica Meir, carry the battery charge discharge unit over to P6 where they'll be installing it.
Tether has been cleared. I can confirm all the tethers are in a good config.
Nice work, Christina.
This is Luca. Great job on that. And I'm going to start setting up the arm for the back-off maneuver.
Copy.
Christina, we are starting motion. It will be straight back away from structure.
Copy, you're ready for motion. I see good motion.
View here of Christina Cook beginning that ride to the external logistics carrier. Arm moves very slowly and carefully. And it is being driven by Space Station Commander Luca Parmitano, who is inside the space station's cupola at the controls of the arm. See the one of the space station's solar array panels coming into view in the top left-hand side of the screen. That gives you an idea of the scale of those solar arrays, which are enormous. There's 4 sets of those. This one's on the starboard side. The crew will be working on the port side for most of the spacewalk.
Christina, when it's a good time, I'll take a glove and hap check.
Copy. Check and work. For EV1 gloves, no change, dry hap.
Copy, no change, dry hap. PET is about 1 hour, 10 minutes. Limiting consumable, 7 hours, 45 minutes for EV1 battery power.
EV1 copy. EV2 copy.
Capcom Stephanie Wilson there giving the crew a status update. She mentioned we are now 1 hour and 10 minutes into today's spacewalk, the historic first for a spacewalk to be conducted by 2 women. And we do have a number of school classes watching, including Mrs. Harrison's environmental science class. They sent in a question using the hashtag AskNASA, and they want to know how long the battery that we are replacing lasted. And we're not actually replacing a battery here. It's a discharge unit for a battery, which makes sure that we get a standard level of power sent to the space station systems. But it's actually been on board the space station for about 19 years. It was first integrated on STS-97 in December of 2000. So it had a good long life, but we do have some spares on board. There are 24 of these installed on the International Space Station, one for each of the power strings.
Motion on 2.5 minutes jump forecast.
Copy, and I'm ready.
Starting motion.
This is the second one that we've replaced. We had another one fail earlier this year in a similar situation after some of the new batteries were installed. So we'll be taking a look at what might be causing that before we go forward with the spacewalks that had been planned to continue replacing the old nickel hydrogen batteries with new lithium ion ones.
Christina, if it's a good time, I have one warning and two cautions for ELC1.
It's a good time. I'm ready for warnings and cautions.
The warning is to avoid contact with the payload, RRM-3, due to exposed sharp edges, corners, protrusions, entrapment, pinch points, and structural damage.
Copy. I will avoid it, and I have eyes on it.
Copy. And the two cautions: minimize contact with Z93, that's the paint or the thermal coating on the XPECA, and no vigorous body motion on ELC1.
Copy both. Okay, Stephanie, I've got a clocking of 8, black on black, and a good pull twist test.
Copy, Jessica. Double check wire ties tucked under the boot plate.
Work. I can confirm that now. Wire ties are tucked under the boot plate.
Copy. The rest of the settings are Papa Papa Fox 12.
See Papa, Papa, Fox, and 12 is set.
Copy that. Next, install 2 scoops on the outboardmost BCDU. For H1 and H2, the handles will both go towards the radiator.
Great view of Jessica Cook there on the end of the robotic arm, still making her way to the external logistics carrier where the new battery charge discharge unit is awaiting. We're seeing her with the Earth in the background. The space station's currently coming up on the coast of Europe at the moment. And still have a fair amount of time left in this daylight portion of the orbit before they move into night. Meanwhile, Jessica Meir is beginning to remove those handles that she's been picking up.
We do. We have good video. Thank you.
Or rather, installing them.
Christina, DCV1, Robo1, we are ready to fly you to the publish MLI cover position. It's a manual motion, so when you're go for me to start moving, I'm ready.
Okay, Luca, I'm a go.
And it's going to be, I'm going to start motion towards the ELC.
Copy. Good motion.
Good motion.
While Cook is continuing to make her way to the logistics carrier with the new battery charge discharge unit, Jessica Meir is installing 2 of the handles that she picked up from the old batteries onto the old battery charge discharge unit. She's then going to get a ratchet wrench ready for Cook's use a little later in the spacewalk, and then she'll be moving to the logistics carrier herself, where she'll drop off a bag and the wrench for Christina Cook to use. View here from her helmet, from Jessica Meir's helmet camera.
And Christina, you're at the publish position.
Okay, copy. Let's continue motion in that direction. We'll start with another 10 centimeters for now.
Copy, another 10 centimeters into the same direction.
Agreed. Good motion.
That's 10 for you.
Copy. And I think we'll need another 10, and that should do it. In the same direction. I am ready.
Okay, moving another 10 centimeters in the same direction.
Agreed.
And that's your 10 centimeters.
Okay, and now that I'm here, and apologies for inching us our way there, but I've got the PGT out now of assessing reach, and I think I'll take another 10. Direction.
Copy, and please verify that your ingress aid is tucked in and all the clearances are good, and I'll move you in another 10.
Okay, I can verify that. Ingress aid is stowed. All clearances are good.
Okay, starting motion.
And good motion. And Luca, is that our 10?
Yes, you have 10 centimeters there.
Happy. Let's go ahead and call this GCA complete.
Okay, copy. GCA complete, brakes are on.
Copy, brakes are on.
View here from Christina Cook's helmet camera. She's reporting to Luca Parmitano that she is happy where she is at the external logistics carrier.
Medium ORU bag tether point to the aft MLI loop.
Copy and work.
And we are 10 seconds to a 20-second handover.
Stephanie, can you confirm the handle?
Short handover of satellites that send us video down from the International Space Station. Should be coming back in just a moment.
The amazing view out here is phenomenal.
And Jessica, the scoop handles are towards the radiator.
Copy, that's in work.
View there of Keith Johnson, who's the lead spacewalk officer, working from the ground today.
The MLI of the BCDU.
Copy, Christina. And up to you for the MLI removal steps to assess your access and whether or not you need to egress the APFR.
Okay, and I think I have good access for those bolts in the APFR.
Copy, Christina. Then let me know when you're ready for PGT setting.
I'm ready.
Alpha 7, counterclockwise 2.
Okay, confirm Alpha 7 and not 2, counter 2.
Christina, I'm sorry, please repeat the your PGT setting.
I want wanted to verify that it was alpha 7 and not alpha 2 for these MLI bolts.
It is alpha 2, counterclockwise 2.
Christina Cook, they're working with Stephanie Wilson to get into the first task now that she is at the new battery charge discharge unit. She's going to be removing some insulation cover, and to do that she will be removing 2 bolts as well as some Velcro and a couple of straps.
Copy.
View here from Cook's helmet camera as she gets started on one of those bolts.
Copy. On the nadir bolt, release, expect 15.4 to 17.9 turns.
Copy. Inward. Hey, Stephanie, both of those are on, and they are handled or pointed towards the radiator. I think I'm going to do a socket lock now with the ratchet from my PGT.
That's affirmative.
And Stephanie, I have released the nadir bolt, 17 turns.
Copy. Nadir bolt released, 17 turns. Next is the zenith bolt, same settings, alpha 2, counterclockwise 2.
Copy. Alpha 2, counter 2 set.
Cook, they're reporting that she's got the first of 2 bolts released on the insulation, starting on the second, while Jessica Muir reports that she's got the handles that she was installing on the old battery charge discharge unit done. And her next step will be to get a ratchet wrench prepared for Cook's use, and then begin making her way to the external logistics carrier where this old battery charge discharge unit is.
And the bolt appears released at 14 turns.
Copy. Zenith bolt released at 14 turns.
The Ask NASA questions are continuing to pour in, so we'll take another one now. This one coming from a 6th grade class in New Jersey. Miss Bendira asking how long this repair will take to complete. And the actual swap of the old for the new battery charge discharge unit will take about 3.5 hours, but the total length of the spacewalk today is planned to be about 5.5 hours because the crew members are also going to get a few other get-ahead tasks done. And just as another data point,
We have a good pull twist test on the socket.
Copy, Jessica. Good pull test.
The longest spacewalk that has been done was 8 hours and 56 minutes. That was in 2001 on March 11th, and actually a female spacewalker participated in it as well. That was Susan Helms during the STS-102 mission, working on space station assembly.
Place the crew lock bag on your BRT and translate back to your green hook to retrieve it.
Okay, copy. In work. And Stephanie, it looks like I'm going to need a couple more turns on that Zenith bolt, so I'll be putting a few more Being Alpha 2, clockwise 2.
Alpha 2, counter clockwise 2.
Sorry, counter. Yep, that's the firm. Thanks. Counter 2.
Copy that, and we concur with a few more turns.
Work. That did it with 4 more turns.
Copy an additional 4 turns on the Zenith bolt.
Stephanie, I have to ask, where are we flying over? It's beautiful.
Christina, Jessica, we are flying over the Middle East.
Copy.
View of Christina Cook here at the external logistics carrier where that the new battery charge discharge unit is, and asking the ground to confirm where they are flying over right now because it's such a good view. The answer was south of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. They're also just about to move into another nighttime portion of this orbit around the Earth, so things will be getting a little darker. With crews making good time on their spacewalk task with
I've got the crew light bag on my right now. I just need to get that on my DRT, and then I'll be heading back inboard. Great.
crews making good time on their task with Christina Cook working to remove the thermal insulation cover that's been protecting the new battery charge discharge unit, and Jessica Muir getting ready to make her way over to where Cook is working, drop off some tools and begin another task.
Copy. We are going to have to back you out for a second, and then we'll be ready for the GCA.
Okay, copy that. Ready for motion.
Starting motion.
Copy. Motion.
So now we are reconfiguring to internal.
Copy.
And Christina, we are ready for your GCA for your next position for the MLI removal.
Okay, copy that. I think maybe as a starting point, we could try the low hover position. I don't know if that position has us backing away anymore, but it might be a good position in terms of the X value for the forward motion.
Okay, I'm going to fly to do the low hover if you're ready for motion.
Ready for motion.
First motion is down towards your feet.
Copy. And ready. Good motion.
Copy the motion. And now I'm going to pitch you up about 30 degrees.
Lucas, let's hold up on that if that's part of that that particular position. I don't think I need to pitch. I will take, if we can go ahead and just start doing raw GCA, I'll take continued motion towards my feet, and we can say about 20 more centimeters for starters.
If you don't mind, Christina, I'm going to do the pitch, do another snapshot per procedure,
Okay.
then take your GCA.
Okay, that's perfect. No worries. Sounds good.
Starting motion.
Copy. Good motion.
Motion.
With those two bolts that were holding the insulation in place on the new battery charge discharge unit taken off, Christina Cook's getting some assistance from Luca Parmitano at the controls of the robotic arm, moving into a better position to continue removing that insulation. She'll also need to remove some Velcro and two straps that are on the underside of the hardware. And meanwhile, Jessica Meir is on her way to the external logistics carrier where Cook is working right now. View from her helmet camera as she is making her way hand over hand to that storage location so that she can drop off some tools and then, if there is enough time, start on an early get-ahead task to disconnect an Ethernet cable.
And Christina, I'm ready for your EVA, for your GCA.
Okay, copy that. Go ahead and do station 4, so in the direction of my feet, we'll start with 20 centimeters.
20 centimeters towards your feet.
Agreed. Good motion.
Copy good motion. And that's 20.
Okay. I'll start work here on this MLI, so we'll call that GCA complete for now.
Copy GCA complete, the brakes coming on, and the brakes are on.
Copy, brakes are on. Jessica, that was GCA complete. You need to come. Okay, copy. I'm headed back to you, and I've already retrieved my green hook. Copy that. I see your safety tether bounce and figured you were close by.
Jessica, one caution for the ELC. No vigorous body motion once on the ELC, and when you translate on to the ELC, you can do so via the forward nadir CMG.
Copy.
View here from Christina's helmet camera as she's removed that insulation and is stuffing it in her one of her tool bags for storage. With that complete, she'll be able to move on to the next task, which is actually removing the new battery charge discharge unit. To that, she'll install some of the helmets that Jessica Meir is bringing over for her, loosen some bolts, or remove some bolts, and then she'll be able to pick it up.
And I have a great view of you, Nana. Copy that. Not eyes on you yet. Oh, now I do. Hi, you're close. Sure am.
Jessica, when convenient, power
Timing
cycle.
is perfect because I.
Jessica, press your WVS power button.
Copy.
Jessica, the crew lock bag can be stowed on the Nader CMG Fram handrail.
Copy that. I'm in there now, and it's in work.
Copy.
And Tina, I'm just going to put this one big hook down so that there's a lot of leeway for you to reach it. Okay. I was even going to suggest, since I'm almost done with this medium ORU bag, I wonder if it might benefit, since it will take quite a bit of GCA, I can tell, for me to get down to that bag. Maybe just do the handoff while you're here. Works for me. Stephanie, what do you think?
Jessica, Christina, we like your plan.
Copy. Will just be a few more minutes for stuffing in this MOI bag.
Good view here of both Christina Cook and Jessica Meir, both in the view from the robotic camera on the space station's robotic arm here. You can see Christina Cook at the kind of in the middle of the screen above Jessica Meir, who has made her way to the external logistics carrier that Christina Cook has been working at, and now that she's there, she'll be handing off a tool bag to Cook so that Cook can take out some handles that she picked up for her. Logistics carrier is used to store spares, and once she's dropped that off, Jessica Meir is going to be moving on to a get-ahead task, that is to disconnect an Ethernet cable.
WVS, we do have video, but it is a bit jumpy. So we would like a true power cycle if you would push the button once to take it off and then bring it back on for us.
Okay, copy that. In work. And the power cycle is complete, Stephanie.
Thank you. That recovered it. And I'll take a glove inspection and a HEP check from you.
Okay, copy. For EV2, my HAP is dry. Looking at the glove, I have a few eraser marks. Other than that, looking nominal.
Copy dry HAP and copy your glove report. Thank you.
An hour and 45 minutes into today's spacewalk, Jessica Muir reporting that her gloves look good and there's no water in her helmet, so that's all good signs. While we wait for her to move on to the next task, we'll take another couple of Ask NASA questions. First one from Smithsonian's STEM in 30 show asking, did Christina and Jessica train for the specific task they're doing, or was the training more generic? And the answer on this one is that they did some generic training to prepare for this. We did not plan to do this spacewalk until we had some problems with the old battery charge discharge unit. So this was a bit of a spur of the moment spacewalk, but the crew members, all of the crew members on the space station train extensively to be able to perform these types of tasks that might pop up at any given time as repairs are needed on the space station. This one's pretty standard work, although they haven't specifically done this one before. We do have crew members who train for very specific tasks. For example, Andrew Morgan and Luca Parmitano are going to be doing some repairs to the alpha magnetic spectrometer on board the space station. And because that wasn't planned to be repaired in space, there are a lot of unique tasks associated with doing that spacewalk. So they trained extensively on the ground to be prepared to do that work.
Stephanie, while the team is checking on that, to have the MLI stuffed in the MLI bag.
Copy that. Nice work. Jessica, what we'd like you to do is take the medium ORU bag, take that with you to the MDM site, and then likely when you're complete with the MDM task, you can take the medium ORU back to the airlock. We think you'll have time to do all of that before you need to meet up with Christina for the BCDU removal.
Okay, copy that. So I'm going to take the MLI bag with me to do the MDM task, and then I'll just temp stow it, or leave it on my vehicle. I'll probably temp stow it when I'm doing that task, and then bring it to the airlock? Or did you say bring it to the airlock before the MDM task?
Jessica, we'd like you to take it with you en route to the MDM task, and yes, you can temp stow it there, but complete the MDM task first, and then if there's time, we'll have you go to the airlock to stow it in the airlock.
Okay, copy off. And I think we're ready for the badge swap if you guys want to lead us through that.
We're ready for the swap.
I think, Christina, if I leave it on my BRT, that'll give you the most copies. Stand by, let me get this tether off. Okay, and this is still routed to my BRT, Jessica. Okay, copy. And got to do a switcheroo there. I'll take the crew lock bag. Okay, you've got it. Push that down a little bit more. Yep. And work. And stand by before you release anything. I'm going to rep to the crew lock bag. Okay, copy.
Good view there of Christina Cook and Jessica Muir swapping basically tool bags that they've been using. Jessica Muir was using hers to pick up some handles and other equipment that were on the old batteries that had been planned to be swapped out.
That sounds good. If you want to release that for me, that'll be perfect. When it zings back, I'll put it straight on this MLI bag.
She's handing those off to Cook, and Cook is handing her the bag holding the insulation that she just removed.
Perfect, thank you.
After this, Cook can begin removing the new battery charge discharge unit to get it on its way over to the P6 truss where it will be installed. And Mir is going to be working to disconnect an Ethernet cable on what they've called, you've heard him called the MDM, which is the multiplexer, a multiplexer, demultiplexer piece of equipment used basically to process data on the space station. She's going to be disconnecting an Ethernet cable and tying it down.
1 minute, 30 seconds. Night in 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Copy. Stephanie, I have the crew lock bag. I'm ready for steps. And Jessica, jump in if you need steps before you're on your way.